It was a chilly October night, and I was making my final pizza delivery of the evening. The clock on the dashboard read 11:45 p.m. as I navigated the winding, dark roads toward my destination. The customer had placed an order for a large pepperoni pizza, and I needed every tip I could get to make ends meet. Little did I know that this delivery would be far from ordinary. The address led me to a secluded house at the edge of town. The front yard was overgrown with weeds, and the house itself appeared to be ancient and decrepit. Its windows were cracked, and the porch light flickered ominously. I hesitated for a moment, but ultimately decided to make the delivery. After all, it was just a pizza, and I couldn't afford to lose the tip. I rang the doorbell, and the sound echoed eerily through the silence of the night. A shiver ran down my spine as I waited. The moments felt like hours, and just when I thought no one would answer, the door creaked open slowly. A pale, elderly man with sunken eyes and a twisted grin stood in the doorway. His appearance sent chills down my spine, but I tried to be polite. "Good evening, sir. I have your large pepperoni pizza." He nodded slowly and extended a trembling hand to take the pizza. As I handed it over, I couldn't help but notice the strange symbols and candles placed throughout the dimly lit living room behind him. "Is there anything else you need, sir?" I asked nervously. He stared at me with a sinister grin. "Would you like to come in? I could use some company." I declined his offer, citing the late hour and my busy schedule. I needed to get away from this unsettling place as quickly as possible. He paid for the pizza with a handful of crumpled bills and coins and closed the door without saying another word. Relieved to be away from the strange man, I hurried back to my car. Just as I was about to start the engine, I heard a faint whisper coming from inside the house. It was a woman's voice, filled with anguish and despair, pleading for help. My heart raced as I debated whether to investigate. I couldn't just leave if someone was in trouble. I cautiously approached the house, trying to peer through the cracked window. The dim light from the candles revealed a disturbing scene. The elderly man stood in the middle of the room, chanting incantations in a language I couldn't understand. He held a dagger in his trembling hand, and in front of him, a young woman was tied to a makeshift altar. Her eyes were wide with terror, and her mouth was gagged. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was like a nightmare unfolding before my eyes. I knew I had to do something, so I called 911 discreetly and reported the situation. The dispatcher assured me that help was on the way, but it felt like an eternity as I watched the man continue his ritual. Suddenly, the atmosphere in the room changed. A cold breeze swept through the house, extinguishing the candles. The man's chanting grew louder, more frantic. The woman's struggles intensified as she realized the danger she was in. Just as I was about to break the window and intervene, a blood-curdling scream pierced the night. I watched in horror as the elderly man plunged the dagger into the woman's chest. Her scream turned into a gurgling cry, and her body went limp. The moment the ritual was completed, the man's sinister grin returned, and he turned to look directly at me through the window. His eyes were now filled with a malevolent energy that sent shivers down my spine. I couldn't move, I was paralyzed by fear. Before I knew it, the police arrived, breaking down the door. They rushed inside, but the room was empty. The man, the woman's lifeless body, and the symbols were all gone, as if they had never existed. The only evidence that something had happened was the lingering sense of dread that hung in the air. The officers questioned me extensively, but there was little I could tell them. They searched the entire house, but found no trace of the elderly man or the woman. It was as though they had vanished into thin air. I quit my job as a pizza delivery guy shortly after that night, haunted by the memory of what I had witnessed. The authorities never found any leads or suspects, and the case remained a mystery. To this day, I can't shake the feeling that I stumbled into a world of darkness and the supernatural. The memory of that horrific night continues to haunt my dreams, a constant reminder of the chilling encounter that changed my life forever.